Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Entrepreneurship Matters. We started this episode series a year ago, and at the urging of an amazing young entrepreneur, Camry Moses, to tell the story of entrepreneurship through the entrepreneurs themselves. We know that it takes tremendous hard work, a lot of grit, multiple failures to make entrepreneurship a success. And we have two amazing entrepreneurs today that we're featuring in the field of design that we'd love to have present to you. So right now I'm going to invite Elayna Speight and Chante Brown to the screen as I give their bios. Trust me, they are two accomplished women, and you're going to see why when I give you their bios. I will not do justice to their bios, but they will because they're going to tell you their story through their own words. So let me first start with Elayna Speight. She has an interesting story. Instead of playing sports, which a tall girl expected to do, how tall are you, Elayna?
6'3".
6'3". Together we can do a lot. 4'11". She has always more into art, drawing, painting. It was only a matter of time before she got into graphic design and advertising. Elayna is a skilled and talented graphic designer. You're going to see why. You're going to see some of her artwork over the course of the show. She has a craft that she's honed through 10 years of real-world experience working in-house and freelancing for various small businesses and art organizations throughout the DC metro area, such as the Washington Performing Arts and Shakespeare Theater Company. And her projects have included everything from logo and stationery design to posters and brochures to annual reports and magazines. She has been commended for her efficacy, creativity, attention to detail, and great attitude. I can testify she does have an amazing attitude, and you'll see why I say that. She's also been a live portrait sketch artist. Wow, that's cool. At LensCraft's grand opening event. And her art is inspired by the strength, vulnerability, royalty, joy, and magic of Black women. The intention behind her artwork is to show positive images of Black women featuring various skin tones and natural hairstyles. You'll see that in her artwork that she'll show. To instill confidence, self-love, and the assurance that you are as beautiful as you are in society, where often Black women are shown the opposite. She is just a tremendous designer, and we're so glad to have you on, Elayna, today.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Next is Chante Brown. She's coming back on camera, hopefully very soon. Chante is a dynamic and creative innovator who for more than a decade has produced cutting-edge designs, projects, facilitated concept creation, and visual conceptualization. In short, Chante brings her clients' ideas to life, often upgrading them along the way for maximum impact. She excels at establishing and growing brands, identifying opportunities, overcoming obstacles, and building the long-term mutually beneficial partnership for success-oriented businesses and visionaries. She currently manages a variety of projects for the Stephen Marjorie Harvey Foundation, the Anne Free Simmons Foundation, the NBA professional athlete Takeo Fall, Grammy-nominated gospel group Anthony Brown and Group Therapy, Pleasant Hope Baptist Church, and other mega ministries. She also managed publication and print projects for Grammy Award-winning neo-soul artist Anthony Hamilton. Wow. She inherited this creative touch. It runs in the family from her mother and grandmother, and she designs logos, flyers, posters, banners, t-shirts, everything you name it. She's a proud graduate of the historic Dunbar High School and Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee, and operates an online and brick and mortar, you're actually in the business today, really nice, business in Baltimore called Red Bubbles Graphic. She's a proud wife and mother of 2 boys. Welcome, Chante. So glad to have you. And you're on mute, but we're gonna remedy that.
Thanks, Alicia.
No worries. So why don't we jump right into this conversation, because you two are like, y'all are doing like my life, like my heart projects and my heart work, which is in the world of art and in graphic design. So tell me, what set you on your entrepreneurship journey? Why entrepreneurship for both of you? So Elayna, I'll start with you and then Chante.
Well, I've probably been a freelancer since college, and that, which here means a mother would volunteer me to do like church programs and flyers and stuff. Um, so as to why I've decided to do an entrepreneurship, because I was working in-house for an arts organization, and I felt like I could be doing this for myself. Like I felt overwhelmed, like I was handling the projects for the entire company. So I'm like, if I'm going to be doing the same work, I might as well just be doing it for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And how long ago was that?
When I started or when I left?
When you started?
When I started, it was in 2010.
Wow. So 11 years. Oh, great. Amazing. How about you, Chante? What started you to want to embark upon entrepreneurship?
So I was working for the Department of Social Services as a social worker, and my husband and I decided to have a family. And so I stayed home based off of conversations with colleagues. It's best to probably, stay at home as opposed to work with the caseload. And so after being home for a while, I needed to do something. But I think most of it was inherited, and I just didn't know it at that point because, like you said, my grandmother, my mother, my aunt, everybody had a business growing up. So, from like the age of 8, my mom had a nail salon, my grandmother had a community center, my aunt Sandra had a beauty supply store, my godfather had a barbershop. And so, I think it was just innately in me from the beginning.
Yeah, so the images of entrepreneurship. I mean, we've had entrepreneurs on every week, and they always talk about this grandmama, this aunt, or this cousin that had a business that really showed them what entrepreneurship was about. You got your PhD, you can get your PhD or your master's in entrepreneurship sitting at the feet of those folks. So let me ask you this though: how did you shift from, okay, Elayna, I can do this. I'm doing this for a company, and I can do this on my own and do it better. How did you go? What were the steps you went through to establish your business? We have a number of entrepreneurs on that are on their journey. They're maybe sitting in their job now, watching Facebook, which shows me y'all about to leave, or they are about to embark upon their entrepreneurship journey, but don't know. What are the steps you went through to ultimately start your business?
Well, speaking of the legacy, my mom was also doing the entrepreneur thing like the same time that I was.
Ah, nice.
So the first thing we did was we registered our names with the state of Maryland. And so I started like trying to market and to get more clients because you can't have a business without clients. So that was like kind of the first thing I started to do was like get on social media, kind of get a website, iron out my logo and stuff in order to put a presence online in order to kind of get those clients in.
And then after you got the clients in, did you have to do anything else sort of after the marketing point?
Figure out taxes.
That's taxes. All right. So you got yeah, that's right. That's a good thing. They come first for you. Yeah. No, so I mean, you gave a number of good nuggets. One, you really protected your brand, right? So you got the registrations from the state, from the government. You then realized you had to build that market base, so you invested in the infrastructure to have that happen, whether it was social media or making sure you had had your presence in part, and then you did the functional, right? So taxes, all those things. Just great advice. How about you, Chante? How did you go from you've left your position, you're home, but now you say, I'm going to do something bigger, or I'm going to do something different. How did you start your business?
For me, I winded up, my grandmother died, and I winded up doing her obituary. And so I wound up helping and assisting a friend who had a graphic design company. And I don't know, something just hit me and said, you can't sit here for 50 years in design. At some point, you're going to have to do something different or have your own and, just kind of jump out there. And so I started and registered my business. I actually registered in 2014. And I think I started working for him in like 2012. And so I did that. And then it just kind of gradually progressed after that. So there was, me purchasing a bus, and then there was going to school store, and now, you know, a brick and mortar. So those were some of the steps.
So the couple of things you said. One, you started in someone else's business,
Yeah.
which many entrepreneurs do, to learn the business. You know, you have your craft and you're now learning the business at a business. And then register your business. So just like Elayna, you went and got your house in order, and then really worked to acquire the assets that you would need to be able to function, right? You purchased a bus. I know you've been in the school store. Now you're in a brick and mortar location.
Yeah.
So continuing to be progressive. And let me ask you this: why didn't you go to brick and mortar first? What was the bus? How did you? I'm going to stay on that. Why did you? What made you transition each time from I'm going to do the bus, I'm then going to be in a school store, now I'm in my own brick and mortar? What was the progression for you on that?
So for me, it was I wasn't quite sure that I was ready for the bills of a brick and mortar, that type of thing. And so the bus gave me flexibility. I could kind of do what I wanted to do with it. I could, you know, park it wherever I wanted to park it, you know, within, you know, the limits of the city. And so that's kind of, you know, financially, it made more sense for me to purchase a bus as opposed to just jump out and get a brick and mortar store and go from there. So, and then the store was in between. So it kind of gave me, you know, some help with trying to see how a store is actually operated on a day-to-day basis. So from the bus to the school store, then to a brick and mortar.
It's such a blessing how you thought about like, what's going to give me flexibility and how can I learn how this operates as you go along in your journey. How about you, Elayna? Have you thought about the placement and how you're thinking about how your business is in the marketplace or positioned in the marketplace?
Yes, I guess especially social media, but also before COVID, I used to do vending events. And so that was a great way to kind of get out there and get physically in front of people.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely. And for both of you, how have you, let me tell everyone, I know many people are already participating in the chat. They're participating on Facebook, their shout outs as well as their questions. And you also can text in your questions 22333, type JHUWL, and I'll get all those messages and weave them into the conversation. One of the questions that came in very recently is, how did your family and friends respond to your decision to become an entrepreneur? Getting pushback, like what? Hold on. Don't give up that W-2. Don't give up any of that. So Elayna, how did your family and friends respond to your decision?
So like I said, my mother was also doing the same thing. So she's always been my biggest supporter. And she saw, because I would come home like frustrated and like how I just did not want to be there anymore. And so she fully supported, like, if this is what's going to make you happy, then do that. She's also the one that's always like pushing me to do more. Like, you can't just sit and like wait for stuff to happen. You have to go out and get what you need to get.
Yeah. How about you, Chante? How'd your friends and family respond?
My friends and family were always supportive. I think they may have been a little worried when I bought the bus, you know, like, where's the bus? But, you know, they've always been supportive, 100%, 150%. They, you know, they rock out. So, you know, if it's coming to build something, knock something down, paint, draw, whatever I need them to do, they've always been there.
Yeah. Mandy says she's 100% behind you, Chante. So they're already responding. Your family, the friends are already responding. Let me ask you this, and as you think about COVID and your businesses in particular, how did your business shift? How did you deal with COVID, the realities of that? So Elayna, how did COVID impact your business?
The major impact was only the vending events, that particular facet of my business. But I was already working from home, already had like a steady client who I worked with. So that really didn't shift things drastically. Yeah.
How about you, Chante? Did it shift you at all?
It didn't shift much, only that I opened the brick and mortar probably right as soon as the pandemic started. And so I wasn't quite able to open the store. But for me, I think that was good. It gave me time. I didn't have to rush and try to hurry up and open the store. As far as graphic design though, my clients, they always coming up with something. They got dreams. And so everyone was still for me. And because those people were still and they had time to sit and think about all of the things and all of the companies and businesses and projects they wanted to work on, then it kept me busy. So I was steady and consistent during COVID.
Yeah, we've talked to a number of business owners, and particularly our Black business owners, who have talked about the surge that some of them experienced during COVID, right? It was a hyper focus on Black businesses, supporting them. But I ask more broadly, how did you go about building your clientele? Because both of you have a following. It is evident both of you have a fan base and a customer base. So how did you go about building that clientele, that customer base that now sort of understands what, Elayna, what your designs look like, and they're anticipating them, and Chante, that are folks who are just coming to you to try to get you to work on their projects. So Elayna, how did you build that?
Well, my first clients were actually from connections I had made with my previous job. So like a coworker went to another job, and so they put my name in when they needed a designer. As far as and I'm surprised at how some people find me, because it's like how did you find? Because I just get jobs out of the blue sometimes, but I think a lot of it is from like social media and word of mouth, really.
Yeah. I always say good work is the best marketing strategy that you can ever employ. So yeah, your current clients are the marketing tool for your next client. Absolutely. Chante, how about you? How did you have the Stephen Marjorie Harvey Foundation? How are you building your clientele that you have?
So mine is much like word of mouth. And then if you see a graphic, somebody asks, who did that or logo, and so they need it. It could be my hairstylist, and her brother is in the NBA, and because I did something for her, and then he needed something, and so it kind of trickles down. So then you have other managers and other players calling and, hey, I need a design and I need a graphic to try to make their brand pop. And so it's definitely word of mouth and networking.
And so it's interesting how you just said that. I know a number of entrepreneurs want like that. Every connection you have could potentially be an avenue through which you are able to continue to build your business. And so this question has come up as for a number of times in a number of different ways, but how, as graphic designers, what marketing considerations do you make to attract people to your business? So you're helping other brands and you have your own brand. So what are like the things that you're thinking through as you're thinking about how do I attract people to my business, but how am I attracting people to other businesses? Elayna, I'll start with you.
I think the first thing is a clean website in your portfolio. So make sure like your best pieces are on your website. Again, it's working well with others so that they'll continue to put your name in the spaces that they need to get the next client. Like I said before, it's a social media, that type of thing.
Excellent. How about you, Chante?
I would agree with Elayna. Definitely the website. And initially I think I had a landing page. So, and then I moved to a website. But social media, which I'm still very much working on, social media, I would probably need to post more of my clients, projects, what I'm working on, or they usually tag me or something like that. So that's about how I work on, getting the word out. But I try to keep it low key, because if I get overwhelmed, then I can't keep up. So I try to just kind of balance it out.
That is true. We have so many people saying like social media could become a full-time job, that consistency of getting out there. And then, you're also doing it for clients. So you're right. I think that's a really wise to recognize that there's a challenge a push and a pull, a tug on you for that. So we've received this question a number of times, which is like, what were the first few years of businesses like for you? Because people get to see you now. You're established brands, you're building your brands, you're building your businesses. But what were those first few years like for you as you built your business? Elayna, were they every day was sunny? No sun, no rain, no snow. It's like smooth sailing.
No.
No.
Well, it was interesting because I felt the pull to leave my full-time job. And so I figured like, oh, this is like all these clients are going to come pouring in. And that did not happen. And so that was a little nerve-wracking because like I knew that I was supposed to leave, but it's like, I don't know what to do now. So it kind of took a lot of faith to be like, it'll be okay. Like, and so soon after I got my first like steady client to kind of like pulled me through. And so I got like little clients here and there, like a logo here, a program. So yeah.
Yeah, so you made a really interesting point because people do think I was doing this for this company. Now it's just gonna port over. All that business that was there, it's gonna port over, or at least some of it. So a good insight and I think reflections. How about you, Chante? You first started out with the bus and like you had lines and around the corner to Virginia.
I didn't. I'm really blessed to have an awesome group of family and friends. And so even just having the time and the space to just take my time and not rush into anything.
Yeah.
Great husband. I could stay at home if I needed to, or if I wanted to go somewhere, I could. So, I think just having that support allowed me to not have as many setbacks or, trials as most people probably would.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a great reflection because every entrepreneur we have come on here talks about the friends and the family. I've never had an entrepreneur come on this webinar series and not talk about that being so core to their business and their success as entrepreneurs. So I appreciate you sharing that. Let me ask you, this is coming from a text message that someone put in. Thank you. Everyone can continue to text your questions in 22333, type JHUWL in the message, and then put your question. But despite the challenges of the first few years, and this is particularly to you, Elayna, what kept you going? You talked about faith, but what kept you going to continue to not say, I'm leaving this, I'm quitting, I'm going back to
I think firstly, because I love it. I love graphic design. I love art. I knew that this is what I was supposed to do. I mean, I was kind of tempted to go back to the 9-to-5 because it's a steady steady income, but I couldn't stop. Plus the freedom of like staying at home all day and like doing what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. I couldn't give that up. Yeah, no, absolutely. And recognizing the balance, like the weighing on one hand and what really mattered to you. How about you, Chante? What, despite you didn't have a challenge, but what keeps you going? Because you could do something else.
I think for me, it's spending the time with the boys. I have that flexibility to spend the time and be home as much as possible, or go to, games or rehearsals, to school with, I have 2 boys. And so I think that's what really kind of drives me and keeps me going. I amaze myself that I keep doing it every day. But yeah, I think it's those 2 boys that I had that keep me going.
And then how do you balance? You just talked about, I'm gonna stick with you, Chante, and then we'll go to Elayna. How do you balance being a freelancer with work and life, and how do you juggle it all?
I think I'm still trying to figure that part out.
That's honest. That's honest. Yeah.
It's a job. But you just gotta stick with it. Prayer, definitely. Communication. I'm a good communicator. At least I think I'm a good communicator. I try to talk to my friends and my family to make sure, I'm not crazy or I'm not tripping on something. And so I just think that kind of keeps me balanced. And my peers, my family, my friends are pretty straightforward. So if they see me slipping or if they, catch me falling in, they let me know. And so I think that kind of keeps me, balanced. Otherwise, I'm probably no good.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. It's they many times people will come you to get, but it's a challenge. It's something you work on. How about you, Elayna? How do you balance it all? Being a freelancer and life and other interests?
Well, for me, I set boundaries. So like, these are my work hours. So if there's anything outside of that, then you're gonna have to pay a fee, or you're gonna have to wait until the next day until I can get to it. I'm not working all night. I'm not gonna stress myself out, because yeah.
No, it's good because you're right. I mean, we have this question come up 3 times. So don't worry, y'all. I'm going to answer this question. What is a freelancer? But you're right. You could have a 24-hour business where people just tug on you at every moment of the day. But what is a freelancer? They've asked this question a couple of times. I want to make sure they get the answer. Elayna, what's a freelancer?
Well, basically a person who works for a company, but they don't get the benefits, if that makes sense. So like, I work from home. So like, they give me the projects to work on, but like, I don't have health insurance from them or like a steady income from them. I just work for them separate from the company, if that makes sense.
Yeah. This question, this is an interesting question that has come in, which is, what stops you from playing the comparison game in this industry? I'm sure that there are, in social media, it's just, that's comparison. Like if you want to talk about the playing field of comparison, that's the place, right? Because everybody's comparing themselves to this person or that brand. So how do you not succumb to that comparison game? Chante?
I think for me, I've always been different, just from like even having naturally red hair, and so I've never really compared myself to other people or what other people have. The grass
We weren't getting that
always seems
question
to
whether
look
the red hair was natural. Just kidding. Just kidding.
um, so the grass always looks green on the other side. So I try not to, indulge in that and just stay focused on what I was called to do. And what's for me is definitely for me. Nobody can take that. So
Excellent.
I just kind of stick with that.
Great advice for people, like to be the original and to do that. How about you, Elayna? How do you avoid the comparison game?
Well, it's definitely hard not to, because you look at someone else's numbers and it's like, how did they get there? But for me, it's like, I don't know what it took for them to get there, or like the trials and tribulations they had to go through. So my journey is my journey. And so I can't compare their ending to my beginning.
So wise. I mean, what you just said. So wise. It was just, I know it's going into the chat on Facebook. So we have a team that's putting the nuggets. That was just such a good gem, because you can look at someone and you can say, how did they have that? And I want it. But you have no idea of what it took for them to get there and what they're sacrificing to stay there and to continue progressing. And that's not your journey, right? And so just a beautiful message and imagery. Chante, we had this question. It came straight to you, which is, can you share a time when you're pressed for a deadline and what you had to do to get the job done? What would you tell your younger self?
Say that again, Alicia. I didn't really hear you.
Have you ever been where you have two companies coming to you and they say, we want it both on Tuesday at 6:00, and you're crunched? How do you balance that? How do you get the job done when you have sort of that competition for your time and your energy and your talent?
So for me, I'm pretty honest. I'm gonna let you know if I can do something or if I cannot do it. And so I think honesty, just letting the client know, hey, I can try to get this done for you by this time, but it may not work. Or, I have something else that I'm working on, but I'll try. And so that kind of keeps me from having those issues. But for the most part, I try to get stuff done before the client has actually, asked for it.
How about you, Elayna? The same question. I'd love to hear from you about that competition for time and talent. How do you juggle that?
I definitely agree with Chante. You have to be clear with your clients. Don't try to do both. Be honest. I'm doing something else right at the moment. So unfortunately, you're gonna have to wait.
And this question came in coupled with that, which is, what would you tell your younger self? So you get to have coffee, maybe tea, some water, with your former self, and you're coaching your former self. What would you tell her? It's a good question, Rodney in particular. Can you put it in next week too? I think it was a good one.
You want me to start?
Oh yeah. Chante. Yeah.
My younger self, I would say, as far as it relates to starting a business, I would have a mentor / business coach, so that I'm not backtracking with certain things. So I would definitely do that and just, jump out there, do what you got to do, and don't hold back.
That's a great advice, because every champion, every great person has a coach. Serena has a coach. Braun has a coach. Everybody great have coaches, right? Yeah, absolutely. Elayna, what would you say to your former self?
Well, a coach is a great idea. That's number one, probably. Also, don't be afraid to make connections with people. It's okay to ask for help. Be confident in yourself. You know what you're doing. So do the job, basically.
Yeah. And both of you, I want to piggyback on that question, because there's a question that's come up around mentorship in your field. And I know that entrepreneurs in different fields have different forms of mentorship. Is there sort of a framework for mentorship in the graphic design field, or how have you found mentors in the field, if you have any? Elayna?
Well, I actually don't have one per se. I guess my mentors would be my superiors at work, the senior graphic designers. So I just see how they handle work, see how they talk to the higher ups, and how this is the deadline and that's it, or we need this in order to meet this deadline. So yeah.
How about you, Chante? If you found that there's a bevy of mentors within the graphic design space?
I have, but then there are also some. So I have a mentor who works for Magic Johnson and some other people, and so just calling him and bouncing some ideas off, or how did he do this, or how would he do something, as opposed to what I might be thinking. And so just having those conversations, I think is good.
Yeah. This question, and I know we have a number of high school students that are on, and college graduates. Proud of y'all going back to school soon. But what they've asked for a piece of advice. Some of them want to become entrepreneurs, going into college, about to leave, entering senior year of high school. What advice would you give to them as they are thinking about entrepreneurship as their journey post-graduation? Elayna, what's a piece of advice you would give to them?
One thing is that make sure you love it, because it may not always give you the gains that you think it will, especially financially. So make sure you love it enough where you can keep going and have that support system that can kind of support you as you grow your business.
How about you, Chante? What would you say to the high school students watching, college students?
I would definitely say get a business coach first.
Get the coach.
Definitely look into a business coach. You need to look into how your business credit and your personal credit work together. It's a big thing. And love what you do. You know, some days you're not going to want to do it. Some days you will. And so you just got to keep focused and go with it. But definitely the business coach and, you know, business credit will be, my top two.
Excellent advice. And so in line with that, are there any training programs you know of that this question came up? Y'all started any training programs, activities? Big plug for Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. If you're interested, the applications are open, you can apply. But have you found any key activities or training programs that you would recommend to entrepreneurs to invest their time in?
I actually don't. I mean, I've seen maybe the Macy's one for like retail stores, but I've never pursued that type of program.
Yeah. How about you, Chante? Any trainings or business programs?
I think it's called the Business Women's. There's something in Maryland, but it's like a Business Women's Entrepreneurship where they give you free coaches and that type of thing. But as far as entrepreneurship, I haven't really seen. I would love to start, you know, something like that, but I haven't seen any as far as graphic design.
Again, a huge plug for the 10,000 Small Business Program. It's run out of our WEB. That's what you're Women Entrepreneurs. Yes, Mandy. You're right, Mandy. Mandy is very active in the chat. She's very appreciate your support. You and Rodney, y'all. The one question we have is, what has been your favorite project or piece? So both have an assortment of work, a great body of work. Full disclosure, anything they say does not mean that your project wasn't their favorite. We're just asking for our favorite project. See, I let y'all off the hook on that one. See, I gave you clear out so that there are many, you can have many favorites. So just name one favorite that comes to mind. Elayna, what would be a favorite project or piece?
I guess my most recent favorite was this book illustration just did. I mean, I can't go into too many details because it's not out yet, but it was my first one, so I was really proud of how it turned out.
That's great. And so when it comes out, we'll get to see it on your social media. Oh, great. Okay, we'll follow. We're going to tell you how to follow Elayna so you can keep in touch and also purchase from her business. But Chante, how about you?
It's really hard to choose from, but I think I would say designing the cover of Anthony Hamilton's book.
I have it. Cornbread. What is it? Cornbread, collard greens, and what?
Fish and collard greens.
Collard greens. Cornbread. Okay, I knew there was cornbread in there. Beautiful cover.
Yeah, I think that was my favorite. You know, just seeing it come to life and seeing your name inside the book, and you know, he's Anthony Hamilton, so I think that might be my favorite.
Yes, really beautiful cover, really beautiful color. I think I came to one of the books opening in Baltimore. It was really nice. Let me ask you this question, which has been formulated a number of different ways by folks watching, but as a business owner, can you remember a moment when there was a project or an initiative or a day, and you said it reassured you, this is worth it. This path I'm on the right path. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. You remember or recall a moment or instance when it's like you had that click that happened? Chante?
So for me, it was actually when I purchased the bus, but it didn't click for me until maybe 6 months later. And so, you know, everyone was saying like, you bought a bus, but it didn't hit me. Like one day I just walked past the bus and I was like, wow, I bought a bus. Like I was like, who buys buses? Like who does that? So I think that was it for me. It was the bus.
Nice. the bus. I think you do things and you don't realize how big they are in the world. And it takes a friend or a colleague to remind you. I think that's a great, great, great story. Elayna, how about you? What was that moment?
I guess I would say when I got my first regular client that like would work every week. So it was the comfort of knowing like, okay, we're good now because we have a steady client. Everything's cool. So I think that might be the moment.
Yeah, when you can see like how this is a bit, a growing into a business and a sustainable, excellent. But what is your greatest accomplishment? So thus far, your best days are ahead of you. So we're gonna claim that. But what's your greatest accomplishment thus far? Elayna, I see you thinking about it.
I guess the first thing I can think of is when I did, because like I've done a lot of arts organizations. I worked in a lot of arts organizations. So when I was an intern at the opera, I got to design the bus ad. So I think that might be the best one, I think.
Wow, you see like your art all over the city.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's really cool. How about you, Chante? What's been your greatest accomplishment?
I think opening the brick and mortar has probably been my greatest accomplishment so far.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've told you the steps that I've, taken. So I think, by far this is probably the greatest one.
Excellent. And there is more to come. We're going to claim that in faith that there is great things to come. Let me ask you this, because I did confirm. I was waiting because I want to make sure she was on. So Oprah's watching, and she has she watches every week. So she's watching, and so her and a number of other investors, they're watching. So they want to know, how can they invest in businesses like yours? How can they ensure that Ink Designs, Redbubbles Graphics, other businesses like yours are thriving in our community, have all of the resources they need to, and maybe even just are able to, we can have more of businesses like yours. What tips would you give them? And also when you talk, as you're talking to Oprah and the investors, other investors, sure she brought some friends. Can you also talk to like ordinary people like us, right? So those of us who are just living our lives, and trying to, contribute to our communities and ensure that businesses like yours remain down the street from our homes and all. How can we be supportive of you? So, Elayna, what would you say?
Well, Oprah and the investors and everybody watching can share not only my business, but also the business of your friends. So like share their products. Like even if you can't buy anything, share it to whoever so that the audience spreads and that brings the traffic into the company.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. How about you, Chante?
For Mrs. Winfrey, I would say
you put respect on that name. That's right. I appreciate you.
Name Winfrey. I would, I don't know if she does such an amazing job with, everything that she's done so far. So I'm curious to probably maybe if she could have a sit down or a mentor program of some sort for, Black women, and just maybe give those key factors or key tools that put her on the trajectory that she's on today. Like I remember, well, I don't remember because I was born in 1977, but when she was on WJZE in Baltimore in 1977, like what did she do then to set her on the path that she's on now? And so I think those are the key. I mean, aside from maybe tag me and wear my shirt, that would be great. But I would, like to know she took and didn't take to get to where she is today. So I think some type of program.
Yeah, you can tell both of you are just such beautiful souls, because I don't know if you've heard, like embedded in your comments was the support of others. Elayna, you talked about how, not just me, but all of us, like a collective voice. And Chante, you talked about like a mentoring. Could we mentor and talk about us? So I think every time I come on here, I'm always like, the team behind the scenes, they pick amazing entrepreneurs who are just selfless, good people. And I'm just like, I feel very honored to get to just be here and get to interview you, because you can tell that your businesses are for a greater good than just yourself. So just thank you for that. What is this? Oh, Super Soul Sunday to celebrate Black female entrepreneurs. Yes, I like that. Super Soul Sunday. Yep. Oh, someone said to Oprah. This is the recommendation. This question, I'm cutting up a little bit. One person, people want to get into the nitty gritty. They want to actually have you want to be clients of yours. So they want to know, what services do both of you offer? What are the things that you offer? And you know what, this is a great time to let you both show off your stuff. So Elayna, tell us, like, what things do you offer, and then also, like, show us the pieces that you have. I asked her to put them up there so you can see them all. So Elayna, go ahead.
So I do logos, print design, so publications, magazines. I also do custom paintings, and also offer prints and my own products. So the first things I have are some pens I designed. You can see that.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful silhouettes.
And then sun and moon pen.
Oh,
So
beautiful.
you see, that's the moon, and that's the sun right there. So like my prints are, it's like the beach body. And then a Disney print. So this is Rapunzel.
Oh,
And then
great
Black
illustrator.
Mermaid. Thank you. Black Mermaid.
So would you also illustrate a book? If someone wrote a book, would you illustrate? Wow.
Yep.
Ideas in my head. I'll be calling you. Chante, what services do you offer?
So it starts usually with graphics, logos, t-shirt designs, but then I print. So we print pretty much anything but money. Banners, posters, flyers, t-shirts, you name it, we usually print it. So
excellent. And have you ever turned down a client? This is what someone asked. Have you ever turned down a client?
Yes.
Yes, believe me, yes. Yes. And what would make you turn down a client?
Well, this particular client that I'm thinking of, we had worked together before and we just didn't mesh. And so it was not a good fit for the both of us. So I thought, when they came back, it's like, it's not worth the headache. You should probably better going to somebody you're more suited to.
How about you, Chante? Have you ever turned down a client?
Yes. Timing is usually when I turn down a client, I just can't get the job done. I don't feel like it's going to be reflective of what my work ethic is. Two, I've turned down a client for an obituary, which was obituaries have to be turned around really quickly. And so the amount of things that they needed and wanted, and they didn't want to pay, I just couldn't do it. So, yeah.
So let me shift the conversation. This is a question around sort of building the infrastructure for your business. So how did you raise capital for your business? How did you either get investments, or we have a number of entrepreneurs, I can see y'all watching. How did you get the corpus that allowed for you to build the business?
Well, I would say I saved money from my 9 to 5. So worked, like I said, save that money. And then when I needed to leave, I had a nice little nest egg, for lack of a better word, to kind of invest in my business.
Yeah. How about you, Chante? How did you raise your?
For me, it was, personal money. But then again, it ties back into my family is great. You call your sister, your best friend, your like my family will support, and so I don't have to look too far, for certain support. So definitely family and friends.
Yeah, no, most businesses start with what's called the family and friends funding. You have to be many times you have to demonstrate that before you can get outside investors um, come in. Both of you, we got received this question. Don't worry, I'm getting to it. How do you both define success in your business, and has that definition evolved over time for you as entrepreneurs? Elayna, how would you say how do you find the success, and has it evolved?
I guess I define success in I'm doing products that I like to do, not because I have to.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
think that's, and it's, yeah, that's basically it. Like I'm happy and I like doing what I do. And I think that's success.
How about you, Chante? Do you have a similar statement?
I think mine is just seeing the growth over the years.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really tried to define it, but I think it's just, seeing the growth, from working somewhere else to the bus, to the school store, to my own brick and mortar. And so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that would be it.
Yeah. And this question, it might take us to the end, but what is your creative process like? So I tell you, and I've done this. Chante, full disclosure, Chante has done projects for me and designs for me for all of my harebrained ideas that I've had, stuff I'm starting. So, but what's your creative process? Because all I say is, this is the name, this is the concept, a little bit, and then I come back and then there's like a baby born. Like there's like a little baby. It's like something already created. So what's the process you're going through when I tell you I want something and then you create it?
Want me to start?
Yes.
Okay, so for logos specifically, I tend to ask a lot of questions. So it's like, well, who's your audience? What's your business? What do you sell? Is it a service? Is it a product? What do you like? What do you not like? What do you want people to see when they see your logo? What do you want what do you want them to think of you?
Mm-hmm.
I do my own research on other logos of similar businesses, so I don't copy them. So yeah.
So interesting. Like, what do you like? That real thoughtful analysis. How about you, Chante?
For me, I feel like I put on a whole avatar. Like I'm trying to be the person who I'm trying to design and create for. And so I definitely ask a lot of questions. I try to get the demographics of, who they're trying to reach, where's it going, colors, all of that type of thing. But I try to look from the lens of if I'm designing for an attorney or if it's, a gospel artist or NBA player or, children, what it's for. And so I try to look through the lens of that, and my creativity will come. And then you research some things.
Mm-hmm. And so every week we have people the entrepreneurs we feature, and that's why we feel so much pride in this. They have clients after these shows. People will reach out to both of you. They're going to try to become a part of your client base, become a part of the Ink Design family or the Redbubble graphic family. What do you wish they knew before they reached out to you? Elayna, what should they know before they reach out?
Though I try to be, I'm not magic. So there are some limitations to what I'm able to do, especially time-wise, or maybe even the scope of the project might be too big. Just I'm still human is basically what I want to say.
Yeah, no, that it's important to know, right? So you can't, all business isn't good business. How about you, Chante? What would you say? What would you want people to know before they reach out to you?
That I too am human. But I think if before you reach out to try to have some type of idea or concept that you think you might want. So many people come and then they're like, I want this, but they have no idea where they're going with it or what they want to use it for. They just have an idea. So I think if you maybe brainstorm a little bit, write some stuff down, and then maybe approach myself or Elayna, then I think that would help expedite a lot of things, and also get your vision or, your goal, to that baby that you're trying to produce.
Yeah, absolutely. Elayna, someone just wanted to follow up on what you just said. You mentioned doing your due diligence to make sure your designs are not like any other businesses. Do you have signature designs or trademarks, or what makes your businesses unique?
I guess what makes them unique is that I guess they're mine. I don't know how to.
They're originals, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You have a wide swath of people watching, so I know some people are like, how do you make sure they're unique? You're designing. You're like a real. I mean, she is designing the logo. Right?
Yeah.
It's not there isn't like some wizard like in a program where you type it in and it pops out the logo. You all design and sit and bring together. It's art. I know we haven't framed it in that way, but that's the way I think of the work that you do. Both of you are to me, artists, but I'm not sure if others, if you would describe yourself as such, but that's sort of the way I think of you. Original artists.
Yeah, I think each of us have our own style, and so I might be more of a clean designer, someone might be a bit more fancy. So I think that's what makes me unique, is that I'm clean. Like I have very, I don't want to say sophisticated designs. I mean, that's not a really great word, but I think my art is specific to me, I think.
Yeah, no, and people pick designers based on like what they're what they want to have. You're right, because I have you, Chante. I have another designer too. She has a different style, and I know if I want that style, she's the one that's going to do it. We have a comment from an effort. Open investors can provide support for Elayna and Chante in the form of interns, paid interns. I agree. I would like some interns too. I'll pay for them, but I need some interns too. That need support, and you get the next generation of designers. But that would be a huge investment. Paid interns, I agree. It's a blessing. Let me let both of you answer this final question, and then I'm going to give everyone the opportunity to know how to follow you, how to purchase from you, how to get in touch. But what surprises you most about being an entrepreneur? But something you like, I never even thought this would be a part of entrepreneurship, but it is. How about you, Elayna?
Taxes.
Taxes.
Having to pay taxes was definitely a surprise.
How about you, Chante? What's surprising?
Mine might be a little different. I think what surprises me most about being an entrepreneur is that I probably surprise myself that I get up and I do it every day.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I literally just, okay, I decide that I'm going to do this every day. And so it's a new surprise every day.
Excellent. Thank you both for being on today's program. Let me give us everyone, if you're watching on Facebook or you're in the chat, you can see all of their .coms and their @. But let Elayna, tell us what's your website, your Instagram, Facebook.
So my website is thinkinkeddesigns.com. My Instagram is thinkinkedart, and my Facebook is thinkinkeddesigns.
Excellent. How about you, Chante? How do we get in contact with you?
My website is redbubbles with an S, graphics with an S.com. My Instagram is I am redbubbles, and my Facebook is redbubbles graphics.
Excellent. Thank you both. Thank you all for watching. Let me give a couple of announcements and then we will close out. Next week, we will return with 2 entrepreneurs in the jewelry space. These are actually women and men who have created their own jewelry. So you want to watch, please follow us on JH Connects on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Email us feedback, and also entrepreneurs. We're actually booked through season 3, but season 4 is wide open. But email us feedback, jhconnects@jhu.edu. Thank you to our community partners, Johns Hopkins University, Johns Hopkins Health System, Hopkins Local, the Mayor's Office of Small Minority-Owned Businesses, the Warnock Foundation, Bloomberg Philanthropies, and Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business. Thank you all, and have a wonderful day. Thank you, Chante.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elayna.
Thank you.
You're welcome.